Welcome to another episode of Mayo Movie Club. Pour yourself a drink, grab a snack, and let me recommend some great, or at least interesting movies for you and your significant other, your kids, whoever. Well, maybe not your kids. The first movie is Being John Malkovich. Writer Charlie Kaufman has done a lot of fascinating and bizarre work, but I think this is his masterpiece. John Cusack plays an incredibly pathetic man, Craig Schwartz, starting a new job in an office building on a floor with a strangely low ceiling. Quite uncomfortable, but the overhead is low. In his office, he discovers a small door behind a cabinet, and it turns out to be a tunnel. His curiosity gets the best of him, and he crawls through. The door slams shut, and he's sucked to the end of the tunnel, where suddenly he's seeing life from behind the eyes of American actor John Malkovich. Some of you know him, some of you don't. There's even a great joke about how everyone knows the actor and knows he's great, but they struggle to think of his movies sometimes. So going through this magical tunnel lets Craig be John Malkovich for 15 minutes before dumping him out by the New Jersey Turnpike for some reason. None of this is explained because the story isn't about the rules of this fiction, it's about obsession. Craig introduces his wife to the tunnel, as well as his co-worker who he has a crush on. They eventually start allowing even more people into the tunnel, and it becomes a business for people desperate for an escape from their sad lives. Being John Malkovich is a weird movie, obviously. It's drowning in unhappiness and emotional turmoil, centered around some pretty awful people. And when you finish it, you'll have an itch to talk about it and recommend it to friends. I took one of my best friends to an art house cinema a few years ago to see it, and it instantly became one of his favorites. I think that'll happen for a lot of you too. Let's continue down the weird path with something I saw last year, a movie that captured my heart and moved me like no film has moved me in quite some time. Brigsby Bear. This movie has a similar setup to Room, you know, the movie where the woman and her child are kept in a kidnapper's basement. But whereas Room has a really dark, serious tone and spends a lot of time in the room trying to figure out how to escape, Brigsby Bear starts with showing us a similar situation of a kidnapped boy living in a bunker, growing up not knowing the outside world, but he's actually liberated in the opening of the movie. So this story is much more about him adapting to the real world now as a 30-something-year-old man who's essentially been living out his entire life as a child. He's had no friends, no emotional development, and his only entertainment has been a children's TV show called Brigsby Bear that was actually created by his kidnappers as a way to brainwash him. They made hundreds and hundreds of episodes over all these years, and the kid is obsessed with it. So upon liberation, he's reunited with his real family, but this guy is too weird and old, so he can't really learn to fit in. There's no way he can relate to anyone, and his entire worldview is based on hundreds of episodes of a fake TV show that no one has ever heard of. He can't stop talking about it. His therapist and parents want him to forget about Brigsby Bear because it was something used by his kidnappers to control him. But at the same time, it's the only thing that makes him happy, it's all he knows. And the more he talks about it with the people he meets, the more they become fascinated by it, and they want to know more. You also may have noticed the main character is played by Kyle Mooney from Saturday Night Live, in a shockingly good dramatic performance. Brigsby Bear is such a cool movie, it's so unique. And for once, it's a movie about happiness and friendship and finding your purpose in life. If you have an open heart to these kinds of stories, this movie will be something special to you. Now, do I continue down the weird path? Yeah, I think I will. The Silent Hill 2 remake is coming out soon, so let's look at one of the most influential pieces of fiction for the original Silent Hill games. No, not The Mist, we already talked about the movie version of that in an episode years ago. I'm talking about Jacob's Ladder. Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins plays a Vietnam veteran back into city life, suffering from PTSD. He sees monsters, reality around him twists and shifts. What's real? Why is this happening to him? How much of this is just imaginary? You'll see that he's actually wearing the green jacket that James uses in Silent Hill 2, and he lives on Bergen Street, which is the street Heather lives on in Silent Hill 3. The subway also has those same chained up doors. The way the monsters move and shake, obviously Silent Hill took that. Reality slowly becoming a nightmarish world of blood and metal grates in a hospital. This is a Silent Hill movie in my eyes. Adrian Lyne, the director, has a key named after him in Silent Hill 2. The first time I saw this on DVD, I knew it was connected to Silent Hill, but I had no idea how. I sat there with my sister and a couple friends, and during the subway scene, we just looked at each other in shock because it felt just like Silent Hill 3. It's a high recommendation for fans of horror and surreal stories, and absolutely required viewing for Silent Hill fans. And while we're on Silent Hill, how about we toss in a second one, The Machinist, starring Christian Bale. He plays Trevor Resnick. That's a Trent Reznor reference if I ever saw one. He works in a machine shop and he hasn't slept in a year. That's what he says.
Stevie, I haven't slept in a year.
Jesus Christ.
He gets his energy from coffee and pie at the airport cafe and gorging on fried chicken in his apartment. He's lost an incredible amount of weight due to exhaustion, and now he's starting to see things. A hangman game appears on his fridge with letters filling in each day. He's talking to a new guy at the machine shop who appears and disappears at will, and the only source of happiness in his life is the hooker he confides in regularly and the sweet lady at the cafe who he eventually takes out on a date. But what's happening to this man? Like Jacob's Ladder, like Silent Hill, you're questioning what's real. Is this man imagining things? Is he haunted by something? Why can't he sleep? It's a mystery. I can't talk too much about it, but this to me has always felt like a story that could be told in the confines of the Silent Hill world, just like Jacob's Ladder. It's one of Christian Bale's finest performances to date, and it shows the insane dedication he puts into his roles. If the man can look like this for a movie in 2004, and then go right into Batman Begins in 2005 looking like this, wow, what a Chadwick. And hey, since this whole episode has been weird, let's top it off with another trippy film, Triangle. A woman gets invited by a guy she knows from a bar or a restaurant, I don't remember, to go on a boat trip with some friends. She's a mother, but her son is at school, and so she has the afternoon free. Everything seems fine at first, but a horrible storm flips the boat. They come across a giant cruise ship and board it, looking for someone who can help them. Someone was clearly visible from the ship, but there appears to be no one here. It's just an empty floating cruiser. But it turns out they're not alone. Someone is killing them one by one, a hunter, leaving messages in blood, and appearing to have personal items on the ship that belong to our cast of friends. Again, it's a mystery, twists and turns, I can't really say more. Just take this as me saying you should watch Triangle because it's pretty cool, and it's one of those movies that's really fun to rewatch from a new perspective. Thank you guys for tuning in to this new episode of Mayo Movie Club. Remember, if you are on my Patreon, you get to watch these episodes a week before they come out when I actually do them. I have really slipped on the consistency of this series, but I've been really busy with some new things happening in my life, and I really gotta be in the right mood to write a script based on movies. Thanks for the patience, and I'll see you next time.